What's up, guys? I'm Kyle, also known as the Panda Man. Today's video, I'm going to go over the 5 most common questions I get in regards to fasting. Now, before we get into that, I need you to hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment or question below. Question number 1 that people like to ask me when they first attempt this fasting journey is, can I use branched chain amino acids or a protein shake during my fast? Let me strike the protein shake off the tablet first. That's a no. If you're having a protein shake, that's not a fast. And then you would have to tie into one of the other common questions I get. What would be the goal of that? It probably has to do with recovering or putting on muscle. Again, I'll address that as we get towards the end of this video. Now, circling back to the branched chain amino acid question, BCAAs. Leucine, isoleucine, and valine. These are great for helping the body repair and recover. And to be honest with you, I first started fasting back in 2014. I would do branched chains during my fast. The research I had done at that point seemed to state that yes, that's okay to do. You won't break your fast. Now, there's different levels of fasting. Some people like to be super strict. Nothing goes into the body. I'm not talking about a dry fast, but nothing but water and salt goes into the body during a fast. Way back then, when I was reading the books on it, the various books I had on the topic, I was led to believe, okay, less than 80 calories and you're safe. So branched chains kind of fit that. Now, I would ask you, why, again, are you feeling the need to do branched chains during your fast? Are you having trouble recovering? Are you scared that you're going to lose muscle? Most of the time, those are just fears that people have. As far as can you have them during your fast, again, it goes back to how strict you want to be. I think you're fine having branched chain amino acids during your fast. I myself, and what I teach my students, I like to be more strict than that, and I don't have any issues recovering. In fact, your recovery is going to go way up when you fast the way that I teach. If you feel that you need them and it's a safety net for you, then yes, you could have your branched chains. If you want to be more strict like myself, then it's really just water and coffee and tea if you're a tea drinker. So that's question number 1. Let's get on to common question numero dos. The second question I get most often is 16 to 20 hour fast legitimate? Is it enough to get the results I want to get with fasting? And the hard answer to that question is no, it's not enough. It is better than eating constantly throughout the day. I'll give you that. And when I first started, I did a 16 to 20 hour fast for 5 years when I first started in the fasting game. I hit some plateaus with that. That's why I came on to longer form fasting, created the Panda diet. However, when people tell me that they've done fasting and it didn't work, usually it's because they're doing like a 16 to 20 hour fast. Now, there might be some exceptions to this. Maybe you feel that you're not getting in enough food in your feast. You don't have a big appetite. I have a client that recently we had to open up that window a little bit when they weren't doing their longer fasts, where it was a 20-hour window. A lot of doctors, I'm seeing functional medicine doctors, in these high-priced doctors, a lot of my clients go to these people, and these doctors will tell them, hey, you need to hit a protein goal. You need to hit a gram per pound of body weight. While I disagree with that, if my client is investing in these functional medicine doctors and want to give it a go, then we blend a fasting, we do some longer form fasting. Hey, if you need to open up that window to get in 150 or 200 grams of protein, then let's open it up a little bit. You're not going to get the same benefit though. That's key. You will not get the same benefit. You're not hitting the hormone button, to use an analogy, hard enough and frequently enough if you're only doing a 16 to 20 hour fast. Some people can do that and get great results. But to me, that's not really fasting. That's more like, okay, you're just skipping breakfast. Now, 20 hour, that's called the Warrior Diet. That's one of the original books that I read on the topic. It's a great alternative for a lot of people. Way back when I first started, I told you I'd do a 16 to 20, and there was the rare day when I would get real excited and amped up to do one meal. So that would be like your OMAD. Now that's like a walk in the park nowadays, right, for me. Because I've been doing it so long. But at the time, I was like, man, all right, you're going to fast all day. And at that time, with my mindset, it was really trying to put myself into a deficit, right? So there's something to be said for that. Again, calories, if you've watched my other videos, they're a secondary or tertiary factor. They're not the primary factor. But 16 to 20 hours for most people is not going to move the needle enough. Question number 3 centers around this idea of starvation mode. Aren't I going to go into starvation mode if I do the fasting that you teach? Let me explain what starvation mode is first, with the way most people refer to it. It's when your body will have metabolic slowdown, which will eventually lead to metabolic damage, and you will pack on a lot of fat because you're programming the body to do that. When you do a traditional North American diet, now what do I mean by that, first of all? That's cutting calories, going into a deficit, trying to burn calories. When you do that, think of that as one metabolic pathway, and the long form fasting is a different metabolic pathway. Again, the fake fitness expert minds explode when I talk about this because they just can't comprehend this, and it doesn't fit inside their paradigm of the propaganda they've been taught and indoctrinated with. It's okay, there's still hope for them. When you do the traditional NAD, North American diet, and your body is eating frequently, your metabolic rate is going to slow down to match what you're putting in. I'm going to repeat that. This happened to me many times when I was competing. Cut down to 1,800 calories, boom. Weight loss, boom, then it stops. Cut down to 1,600, little weight loss, boom, then it stops. And it keeps slowing down to the point where you go back to eating a normal amount of food and you can't lose weight, even though you might be in a deficit. For me, that was like eating 2,000 or 2,200 calories a day, which is below my basal metabolic rate for a guy my size, and I couldn't lose weight doing that. So that's one thing that happens in starvation mode. Metabolic rate's going to slow down to match what you're putting in. Fat storing enzymes are upregulated to fight against this should it happen in the future. Fat is an energy source. That's the main reason we have body fat. Not the only reason, it's the main reason. It's a backup fuel source. So fat storing enzymes are upregulated. Fat burning enzymes are downregulated. Hunger hormones, your main one being ghrelin, is going to continue to rise. Eventually, you can no longer withstand this constant dieting, this constant deficit, hunger's through the roof. Your energy's down. Now you break and you go back to eating a regular diet, which is going to be a lot more food than before you started because of what happens with those hunger hormones. But let's say you're able to control a regular diet. You're going to start packing on fat and be like, I don't understand this. Why am I putting on weight? And this is why when you do diets that have a defined start and end date for 99% of the people, you're going to wind up heavier than when you started. For me, my set point kept climbing. The set point is really where your body wants to be, right, as far as weight or body fat. When I first started competing, it was 215, then 225, 235, 240, 245, 250. It kept climbing year after year because I kept putting it through this wrong model of weight loss. So that's starvation mode. When you fast and do long form fasting, what I've experienced, you can completely fix the metabolic damage that's been done. Metabolic rate actually goes up anywhere between 5 and 13%. Your main hunger hormone, ghrelin, continues to go down over time. It diminishes. Fat burning enzymes are upregulated, so you're getting into a fat loss mode every single day. Fat storing enzymes don't have the chance to pack away a bunch of fat. Partly that ties into what I talked about in one of my recent videos about insulin and becoming more insulin sensitive. So no, you will not go into starvation mode. Time for question number 4. Another common question. Won't I lose muscle fasting like this? And that ties into, can I put muscle on? What if I want to put muscle on? First off, you're not going to lose muscle. Now, if you have something like the InBody machine, we use that at my gyms, it might show that your muscle comes down a little bit, but that's really referring to muscle glycogen. Glycogen, as a recap, is when water and carbohydrate combine and are stored as a quick energy source in your muscle and in your liver, okay? That will come down a little bit. As long as your performance and strength does not come down, you have nothing to worry about. Glycogen has to be lowered if we're getting more into an insulin sensitive state and getting leaner. And we want to continue to get leaner. Why would your body tap into the fat reserves if it's fully stocked with glycogen all the time? I've seen that fasting is very protective of muscle, and I think that has to do with using the anabolic effect of insulin, like I teach with our feast, with our training, growth hormone spikes, optimal androgen profile. By that I mean you might see a dip in testosterone when you first start, if you measure it in the acute, in the very short phase, but you see a big spike in testosterone after the fact. I have one client that doubled naturally his testosterone since he started my program over the course of a year. He went from 450 to 900, which is amazing. Now, if you look at how the body evolved, for lack of a better term, even though I do not believe in the theory of evolution at all, different topic for a different day, but just saying how the body adapted, let's say. If I was going to go out on a hunt, and I might have to search for food for a day, 2 days, 3 days, if my muscle was going to diminish, one of the very things, my muscle and my mind, if that was going to diminish, if I went for a day without food, we wouldn't be here. We would not have survived. The muscle is what enabled me to go out there and hunt and kill or gather, whatever the case may be. So it's a very protective mechanism. You're not going to go into this muscle melting mode that most people think happens when you do long form fasting. A lot of people have fear with this, and I'll tell you the truth. I was fearful of this when I first heard of fasting, mid-2000s. I would just brush it off. Oh, I can't do this. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm going to lose too much muscle. So no, you're not going to lose muscle when you do this. Your glycogen might come down. Keep training. You will be fine. And this ties into a little bonus round for you. You can put on muscle doing this. I've done it, and I've had a lot of clients that have done it, and that goes into what I call the slingshot method. Keep insulin limited majority of the week so we can tap into fat stores, and when it's time to feast and we're more insulin sensitive, let's jam those muscles full of nutrients. We have optimized the anabolic hormonal environment of the body, internal hormonal environment of the body, and we've set it up so we could actually put on muscle. It seems counterintuitive. I know, it's hard to believe, but it's true. All right, let's get on to the final question that I get most often in regards to long form fasting. The final question, which I think is the most silly question, but I totally understand it, that I get most often, at least a couple times a week. How much weight can I lose if I do a 72-hour fast? Now guys, this is the wrong way to look at the process. First, I have no idea how much weight you can lose if you do a 72-hour fast. If I don't know anything else about you, I don't know any of your history, I haven't worked with you before, I don't know how your body is going to respond. If you're just looking at the 72-hour fast, yeah, you might lose 5 to 10 pounds if you're a bigger person. I've seen that happen plenty of times. But what are you going to do? Just do one of these fasts? That doesn't make any sense. We want to look over the macro, over the long haul. And that ties into when people say, hey, can I do a 5 or 7 or 10-day fast? Yeah, you can, but what is the goal? Are you going to keep doing that every month or week after week? Probably not. So I have no idea how much weight you can lose in a 48 or 72-hour fast when you first begin. You'll definitely see a couple pounds just by what's happening with the glycogen and the water draining from the body, which is part of the fat loss process too. When people say, oh, I lost water weight, well, you are going to lose glycogen if you're trying to lose fat. And glycogen is made up of water and carbohydrate, carbohydrate. So carbohydrates. So I have no idea how much weight you're going to lose, but look at it over the long term. What can you do for the next 6 weeks, for the next 6 months, for the next year? Stick with that with your fasting, and this is totally doable. You can stick with this for the long haul. I've now been doing my Panda diet for almost 6 years. You can't diet for 6 years. I feel better than I ever have. Body composition's better than it's ever been. I feel fantastic. This is the way I think the body is designed to eat and consume food. The body likes it. And again, I've had hundreds of people go through my program and they've gotten fantastic results. So I don't know how much weight you're going to lose with one 48 or 72-hour fast, but that's the wrong way to think of it. Think longer term. String together a couple weeks, string together a couple months. And then let's see how much weight you lose. I've had people lose, the most I think is 160 pounds. Think about that, 160 pounds doing my program. And kept it off. The guy looks amazing. I've had other people down 120, 130 pounds. So there you have it, the 5 most common questions that I get. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment for me, and I'll be back for more. And if you are interested, check the pinned comment out for my upcoming Panda Challenge.